Yes, good morning, viewers, and welcome to your Morning View. Morning Dew on your favorite TV station, Cactv, and this is still your newspaper review, and I am your wonderful host, Modo Dominic, and with me are my amazing co-hosts as usual.
Good morning, Mudot.
Good morning, Engineer Ola.
Good morning.
I'm sure you guys had a fantastic weekend because
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what did you do? Because that your I did is in between the lines.
It was a long sleep. You know, over that week I wasn't feeling too.
Yeah.
So I had to rest. I slept for long. I mean, I enjoyed my sleep.
I wish I had. I wish
I slept for so long that it was food. Even not for food, I wouldn't even wake up at all.
Engineer Ola, you hearing him? Like he had time to rest.
The same routine. Eat and sleep.
Honestly, that's the best thing you need to do for your weekend. But mine was busy, you know, concerts and here and there. You know, when you're a music person, you can't just, you know, let your weekend slide without having to go to
this show now.
Don't worry, we'll do that one of these days. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for joining us on your Morning Dew and the newspaper review. So we'll be right back shortly after this break to take what we have on the newspaper review. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Yes, welcome back from that quick break, and quickly we'll take a look at the quotes that we have for today. So could you help us, Dapo?
Yeah, we have on the quote for the day a quote by Pastor David Ibiomi. It says, grace does not encourage laziness and folding of arms. Grace without labor is frustration. In other words, to buttress his point, that points to James 2:26, which, you know, basically is about faith without work
is dead.
Yeah. So it's just a word of encouragement, an eye opener for someone that is seated somewhere, you know,
and
praying for
miracle
food that is not working. God cannot bless what you don't, you know, showcase. You have to work. That's how to attract God's blessings. You cannot say grace. We cannot ask for more grace and fold our hands doing nothing. If you want more money, you do more work. If you want more favor,
yes, exactly.
If you want to walk in grace, you need to keep working. No matter how bad Nigeria may be, no matter what the economy may be, no matter how expensive life may be, keep working, and that's what God will reward. God bless you.
Yes, just like they used to say, now where you they work, now there you go chop. So you don't expect to eat from where you're not working from. Someone can go and hustle all day, and then you expect that person will just come and be dashing you money every day. No, it doesn't work that way. So get yourself something doing. There is always something to do. Do not stay idle. And that's what that quote is saying for further buttressing. So let's quickly take what the Punch newspaper is saying. Our first story on the Punch says NLC insists on Wednesday strike mobilization. Workers, okay, let's see. This story further says that the Nigerian Labour Congress has commenced mass mobilization ahead of its planned nationwide strike, scheduled to begin on Wednesday, to protest the hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal. So this is a story, the first story that we have on the Punch newspaper. So I think I'll start with Engineer Ola.
Well, the step that Nigerian Labour Congress is taking is for the benefit of Nigeria, but it's of twofold. When you look at it from another angle, the masses will at the same time bear the pain. Of course, the government has removed the subsidy from the fuel, because, you know, when you allow the market to adjust itself, the action will be upon the masses. And what I think the Nigerian Labour Congress is doing for the benefit of the masses, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy for Nigerians to embark on strike.
Nationwide strike, for that matter.
Strike. Now, I don't think
it's advisable.
I don't think it's advisable. I think they should sit down with the government and talk about this thing thoroughly over and over again. And what is the way forward? I don't think strike is the way forward. We are going to be affected, the poor masses, because most Nigerians hand their money daily. The fish sellers, the meat sellers,
daily business.
Now to survive in this particular economy. But when you now allow the economy, that is the market, to determine the price, the government cannot control the price of commodities in the society. Fuel is not the only problem we have in Nigeria.
Exactly.
We also have fuel. And also Nigerians are talking about this, our legislators, our senators, the amount of money now that is the
allocated to
them. So people are talking about this. What do we do about this? So if they say they want us to go on strike on Wednesday, but I don't think it's going to be easy at all to go on strike at this particular moment.
All right, Dapo.
You see, this is a very difficult time for us as a country. But I don't know if you have the time. I would diverse into a bit of science to establish the point I'm trying to make out of the scenario by the NSC. Now, in metallurgical science, it talks about heat as the basic study.
Exactly.
Now, in that study, it showcases that heat can be generated by three major flames. And that's the red fire, that's the red flame, and then the higher level is the blue flame, and then the peak of it is the white flame. At that point, you have the best of heat to run, metal or whatever you want to make. The situation of Nigeria has gotten to that peak level. The suffering, the heat that people have been, that this economy has generated into people's life has come to the peak. It has come into that white, maybe let's just say blue. Because if it gets to that white flame, what is happening in Niger, I fear. Because who does this? People cannot feed anymore. That's what we are saying. The reality is here. It's not that the news. It's not the news. It's not a journalist now. It is the reality. People are suffering. And this is the only way they have, the legitimate way of saying no to oppression, is to come up with a strike and to hear their voice. You can't be working and then strike. How do we assemble and say we don't want this if we don't go on strike? Okay, will I leave the office and go now and say, okay, government will listen to us? Who does that? So all of us had to leave our job, come together and say, excuse me, sir, we need a reschedule of payment or something. We are not asking for palliative or anything. People are just saying that redress these policies and let's let it be
subsidized to a point where people can also relate it.
I think I want to add to what he has said.
Okay.
Now, in every society, when you allow the market to determine the price, then you are in problem in economic terms. When you look at it, what they are demanding for is that they want the government to fix all our refineries. And when you look at these refineries, you realize that the first Nigerian refinery was built in about 1965, thereabout. That is in Port Harcourt. And what is the capacity of the refinery then? Maybe about 35,000. That is per day. That is what the amount of crude oil that the refinery can refine, 35,000. Then 1965. The second refinery, I think, was built 1999. Now, when you now look at these refineries, maybe about 15% maximum operational capacity that cannot meet Nigerian demand. But when you look at this refinery, you realize that the problem is that it has become let me use the word obsolete. That it's not functioning at all. Maybe 15%. So government is spending lots of money into this every time. What happens?
And then there's no result.
When there's no result, what are you going to do about the refinery? And okay, look at also at the same time look at transportation. And now in Nigeria today, our problem is transportation. Government is not providing adequate buses. Let's talk about Lagos, for transportation in Lagos. So these are the areas that we have to look into. By going on strike, we will add more to this our suffering. And then again, look at these illegal refineries abound in Nigeria, modular refineries. You know, which means the government can change the mode of refining crude oil. If Nigerians are illegally refining oils and they are doing it successfully, the government cannot do it. So I think the government should.
Are we serious at all?
Honestly,
You are suffering. You are laughing.
And then you're
at
making
that.
jest.
You are making jest of the poverty state of the country. Let the poor breathe. You see, there are consequences that I believe. Either legitimately you get it. Either illegitimately it will shall have a way of playing itself. What I'm begging for is that let's not give chance for evil that we may never be able
to give a solution
to attend to happen in this country, because we are really pushing the people. We are pushing the people, and there is a limit. There is the elastic limit where things will not be able to be contained. And when it happens, it will be the government. They will pay the higher price. So let's just pay what we can afford now by acting, listening and taking up and doing people. What we are told the people will do. Not inflating pain on people and accept. You see, you can't maltreat people and not expect them to malfunction. That's life. When you maltreat people, they malfunction. You cannot maltreat me. A child that is hungry. How do you make that child not to cry? Tell me what dimension. Is it by beating or by locking up? You will have to kill that child to silence that child. So they will have to kill Nigerians to keep them mute, as far as I'm concerned. May God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much. And I last week I stumbled on a post that someone made and just said that we pray we don't get to a point where we have to go back to the state where we had, the Lekki and the NSAS protest, because with the way it's going, they are really, really pushing us. And I pray that we don't get to that point, because it's just one drama we are trying to recover from, and we don't want to go back to that. So let's take the second story. And the second story says bomb blast kill 1, injures 12. This took place in Myanmar, and this is a bomb blast in southern east that killed just 1 person and wounded 12 others on Monday. And the official said that this violent clash had rammed up some of the military disposed, in this, I think is August San and Suu Kyi's civilian government in February 2021. Unleashing a bloody clashdown. This descent on the left thousands. I think this is just a story that happened in Myanmar. So I don't know if you have anything to say as regards that.
In Burma, the head of the government, her name is Aung San Suu Kyi. It's a civilian government. But there was a coup in February 2021, 1st of February, and she was overthrown. Since then, there have been crises, in Myanmar, and many people have died. Economies in shambles, political imbalance is spreading across. Many people have died in that country, and there's no way it can be resolved now, except they go back to democracy. People are suffering. The livelihood, the way they live their life, they are living absolute poverty. If you have ever been in Asia and you walk maybe along Singapore, Thailand, or Malaysia, you are familiar with the Burmese. That is people from Myanmar. We call them the Burmese. And these Burmese people, they are like, how would you put it? They are like laborers working as expatriates. They work in the kitchen, they do manual jobs. The economy is not, of their nation is not okay at all. There's nothing good to write home about the economy. So I think that is one thing we are saying about coups. The whole world I think they should stop this allowing the military to overthrow government. The resultant effect of such things are bad for the populace. At all, is not good. Many people have died and they are still losing their lives. Children cannot go to school. There's always fight here and there, bomb throwing, all sorts of things are happening in Burma. So I really pity the citizen, and there's no solution ahead, because the military juntas are not ready to vacate the seat. I know the military very well. Before they leave, they will have damaged the economy beyond any repair. Yes, so we are just praying to God that God will be able to assist the citizens of that particular nation. Country. Yes.
All right, please, Dapo, before I come to you, let's quickly take this story still on the Punch newspaper, and this says that military destroys another illegal refinery in Delta. Troops of the Nigerian Army, personnel from the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and Tantita Security have uncovered an illegal oil refinery refinery site. This is one that was recovered in Ughelli South in Delta State, and I think this is really something we need to applaud them for, because last week or 2 weeks ago, one was also recovered in, I think, Ondo State. So, and now we've recovered another one, and hopefully there are so many more that we need to recover. But as much as they are recovering this, I hope that they are taking, actions to making sure that the people who are behind all of these things are being brought to book, and then justice is being done. And then they are, look into this refinery and make sure that there's a proper action taking place. So let me start with Dapo.
You see, this story is a very wonderful one, laughable, and funny. It says that first of all, let's give it to the military for a good operation.
Yeah, so far.
They had one last week or there about it, another one.
At least in the space of 1 month, they are really working.
They hope to task and all. But the irony part of the story is we're complaining of refinery, that there are no refineries in Nigeria. And the military are discovering
refining sites.
Illegal refinery. Well, maybe we should also look for the owners of this one and give them license and say, let's constitutionalize you. You become our official while we are waiting for Brother Dangote to finish up his own refinery. Because as it is, I'm just saying, it may be funny, but I'm saying, who are the people behind? Because they are called a refinery. The word refinery means that they get cooked, they refine it.
It's functioning.
I doubt they have not mentioned any white person here. In Delta here. Okay, you are from... you are not from Delta.
No, I'm not from Delta.
I would have asked you that your people, but they are still closer to you. Anyways, these are our citizens. If the U.S. police used to do something when they get maybe a criminal that is of a high class, they don't kill them. They get all the intelligence they will need. How do you do, or hacker? When they arrest such people, they interrogate them to.
They use them
to unleash even attacks and all. So with this, we can use these people to standardize our refinery here in Nigeria. How do you do these local ones? How can we incorporate you? Like if we are giving Boko Haram amnesty, these guys, we can give them a mental amnesty. A productive amnesty that will enhance our refineries, recycling of oil and all of that. So, for me, it's a win-win for us. We are discovering talent, even though they are criminals, but we can
use them for a betterment of the country,
a better means of producing our oil. God bless Nigeria.
Now, you see, these people, what they use is called a modular refinery. That is a modern technology. used all over the world. And it's a simple method of distillation. When you distill crude oil, you get varieties. You know, that is when you get diesel, you get kerosene, you get engine oil. And it's like a small scale plant that you can even erect maybe one or two in this our studio. You know, very easy to maintain, and then easily they get what they want from it. You know, Nigeria can have as many as about 10,000 in the country, that is to refine our crude oil. But our government is not doing something like that. I think what we should do is that, like I said now, the government should look into how we can incorporate modular refinery, that is distilling our crude oil to get various types of oil like kerosene, diesel, engine, and all the rest. It's a very good thing, but the military are really trying, because they are really trying now. And then I will say more grace to their elbow. For doing this, they should continue, and Nigerians should support them. That if they can bring all these bad boys to book, think we have a card to score.
Yes, they deserve an applause.
Kudos to you, sir.
They deserve an applause for that. Okay, lastly on the punch before we go for a quick break, and this says that Uncover CBN, NNPCL, MES, Economics Group tells Tinubu's special investigator. Economics and Civil Society Organization has backed the appointment of a special investigator to probe the Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, and other government business entities by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So that's the last story that we have on the Punch newspaper. So let me start with you, Engineer Ola.
You know, when you have people to investigate public spending, it's a very good step. My prayer is that the government will be very, very holistic on what they want to do now. When you say, oh, there are lots of investigations in Nigeria that have been carried out, at the end of the day, no result. Okay, like confab that President Jonathan did at that time, till today, nothing has come out from that confab. So this private investigators is a very good step towards recovering back Nigerian monies that is still hanging around in the country.
Yeah.
Now, I think the government is saying that they should look into NNPC. That is the main concern of all Nigerians, because this is the root of poverty in this country. It's supposed to be root of money making in Nigeria, but it's root of poverty, NNPC. So if there are investigators, private investigating company, look into the affairs of NNPC, I know many heirs will roll. I know everybody in Nigeria knows that the president is thinking towards the right direction.
Yes.
That, oh, I know if this department is investigated, Nigeria could
there's a lot. There's a lot to uncover.
Yes, lots to uncover.
Just in a brief story. Just in a brief story, what do you have to say?
I doubt I have anything to add to what engineer has pointed out. I would just encourage the team that they should put in their best to uncover as many uncoverable
as they can
to ensure that we have money in this country.
All right.
We are begging anybody to run. So even as we cry, we need that money.
All right, thank you. We'll be right back shortly after this break to take more stories. Stay tuned. Yes, thank you for staying tuned. This is still your newspaper review on Morning Dew. So we have new stories to take from the Vanguard newspaper. And our first story on the Vanguard says Nnamdi Kanu only granted access to doctors, but still in custody, says DSS. The Department of State Service, DSS, said on Sunday it complied with a court order by granting access to doctors of the detained leader. So without wasting much time, Engineer Ola, what do you have to say?
Well, that's the right thing to do. If a prisoner is sick, you allow him to see the doctor, because you are not to allow him to die. No. I think the government is doing what it's supposed to do. They should allow him to see a doctor and then look after his
general well-being.
Yes.
Okay, so the next story says 5 killed in Adamawa as hoodlums loot government private warehouse for food items. So no fewer than 5 persons were feared killed yesterday in Adamawa State as thousands of hoodlums invaded government and private warehouses in search of food and other items. Isn't this scary? The fact that they could do this for food, thank God, is not for something else. So it shows that these people are really hungry, you know, for food. So in fact, there's a whole lot to uncover in this story as far as this story is concerned. So what do you have to say?
You see, I don't want to sound like a Protestant or like a militant. But let me first condemn the act, because stealing is wrong. It's not. You know, we can use the English word to package it and say that they invade the what
warehouse.
Is the word? You know, the
food warehouse.
They invaded the food warehouse and, you know, took items and all. But the truth is, they went ahead and stole food. They stole food items and, you know, barged into some private and public warehouse to do that. Though it's food, they stole, but either you steal 1 naira or
just like they call them hoodlums.
So only them hoodlums is that thieves went somewhere and stole. They are not hoodlums, they are thieves. So because all of us are hungry, everybody in Nigeria is hungry. Pastors are hungry, prophets are hungry, everybody is hungry. Church members are hungry. You need to see the way people are praying.
Yeah.
All our prayers are now centered on welfare.
Yes,
we are not supposed to see. There are 2 categories of people in heaven. When, as a religious level, there are beggars and there are worshippers. Nigerians are becoming beggars in the sight of God. We are going to go like begging for food. People are now totally beggars instead of us to be worshiping God. This is what the system is turning us to, and it's turning some people. You know, those were just called what do you call them now? Hoodlums. They are turning to thieves. You know, from being an hoodlums to a standard thief. For you to break a warehouse, do you know how strong a warehouse will be like? To break through and to start looting stuff. That's a whole lot. So I just want to appeal to the government to please, all the potential. These are the people we call the future of the country.
Exactly.
They are not supposed to be turned and refined into hoodlums and thieves and smugglers or what have you. They should be. We can do better. We can do better. And I believe all those involved, the president, the governors, they will look into these matters and see how to appease the human gods.
And looking at the numbers, they were actually at least, you know, with what the news says, that at least 45 persons were arrested. 45 persons were arrested, you know, in regards to all of this. So we're showing that they were not just one. For them to have been able to do all of this, you know, invade the warehouse, they were much in numbers. Engineer Ola, what do you have to say?
Well, to me, maybe they got some information that in those warehouses there are food in those warehouses that if they get to that place, they'll be able to get for themselves. Why is the government holding those food if truly they have food in those warehouses? Though stealing is a very bad thing, but the government should look at it that, hey, we must not encounter any revolution in Nigeria now, presently, because of the way things are going. Food is very, very scarce in the country. And if you allow evolution to take place, the government may not be able to handle it. That's my take on that.
All right, so moving on to the next story that we have, it says subsidy removal, Nigeria on brink of collapse. Catholic Bishop says this. The Catholic Bishops Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, yesterday raised the alarm that the removal of fuel subsidy without cautioning the effects has put the country on the brink of collapse. And this was a story, this was said by, you know, the Catholic Bishops organizations. So what do you have to say, Engineer?
Nigerian Orientation Organization, an orientation agency, NOAA. The role of that agency is to give us information about the position of government on certain subjects. Everybody is talking about this fuel subsidy removal, but we know very well that there's nothing the government can do now to look into this matter holistically. If we don't remove the subsidy and we keep on borrowing money, economy will collapse. If we remove the subsidy without palliative, Nigeria will suffer. So what do? Well, it's like we are between the Red Sea and the Pharaoh's War. You know, the Israelites are running away from Egypt, and this is Red Sea confronting them. What do they have to do? So the government, again, it's like the Nigerian prophets are now ringing the bell that, hey, calamity is coming. If nothing drastic is not done now, government has to again look inward. What are we going to get to reduce the effect of this subsidy removal? Because the mainstay of the economy, what controls Nigerian economy now, and what controls the life of everybody in Nigeria now, is petroleum. Without petrol, what can you do? Everybody is affected. Like I've been saying, we have alternatives to that in this country. Government is not looking into that. Okay, people are talking about solar. I want to tell you that in India, now they have solar rickshaw. Rickshaw means keke maruwa. They have some keke maruwa using solar energy to operate in India. You know, Nigerians, we say we have universities, which means our university is not functioning very well at all. All the graduates from this university have to devise means of survival. And the government has to encourage them. We rely so much on foreign technology. Now the problem has come now. We cannot refine our own crude oil. You know, see now, if you can refine our own crude oil, there will be no need for us to import crude oil. So we import refined petroleum from abroad. So all the crude oil we have in Nigeria, we still import refined petroleum into the country. So the government has a lot of work to do. This is a bell ringing that is a warning in the desert that Nigerians be careful. Famine is coming, and famine can lead to riots, and riots can lead to civil war.
Anyway, we're still hopeful that we won't get to that point. So moving further, we'll look at the story. Okay.
Before you make that movement, you see, these bishops are not speaking for themselves. Exactly. Because every bishop in Nigeria can afford anything. I tell you, particularly all these basics, they have enough to hit. They are actually speaking for the people. Because people go to them. People don't go to the local government chairman to ask for things. The closest to the people are the priests. So people go to them and register their needs. The daddy, we have not eaten since yesterday. We have not hit. We don't have what to eat even after the service.
And today. I'm sure that they've registered the whole lot of amounts of this going on.
Let's look at the subsidy that was said to be removed. Has anyone asked that if we take from the 165 that it used to be, or is it 165 or 185, and now take it, compare it to 617, and take the differences, and now back date and estimate, are we truly paying up to that? Can government afford that if we are to make a reverse? Engineer, if we are to say 615 minus 165, how much do we have left? And multiply by what we are using now
currently,
or what we are using then, and now do the calculation and see, okay, is it true that we are actually spending up to this? Shouldn't we be thinking of maybe we should pay for just this, if this is what we'll be consuming, while we await the operation of our own refinery? Well, I think the essence of removing the subsidy was to
fix the refinery.
Well, is to look in the way of the refinery that from Dangote refinery will be making oils, and then nobody will have to cry. But as it is now, there's no refinery. People are suffering.
But you see,
I'm coming, engineer. So the baseline, the cry of the Catholic is simple: let the poor
breathe. And in this case, it is actually from the genuine heart, from a very, very genuine heart, and
not from a mockery point of view.
Not at all.
But when you look at it from another perspective, no father will be very happy to allow the children to go
hungry.
He has to do the best he's able to do at that particular moment. Nigeria will import fuel into this country in foreign currency. And today, when you look at what determines market price in the country, is the exchange rate. And the exchange rate is going so high. Why is it like that? Because we keep on borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. The last government borrowed money to pay salaries. Nigeria is still borrowing money now to pay the senators and the reps. Borrowing money to pay the senators and the reps. Which means there is no income generating policy in the country. The only thing we use to export in this country is the fuel. And this fuel now, when we export the crude oil, we use the money again to import refined petroleum to drive our cars, to function our factories. So, except the government have to look inward and give us alternatives. I was talking about CNG some other days ago, that CNG, compressed natural gas, we have it in abundance in Nigeria. It's flailing away. Every day we burn it away. If we have to utilize this CNG, you can put that, okay, there's no country in the world where there's no subsidy. Even in Saudi Arabia, they brought back the subsidy on petroleum. It was removed, they brought it back. In Germany now, they are now using coal as an alternative. If there is no fuel, let's say because we don't have fuel now, we also have another alternative energy, which is gas, for cooking, to drive our cars, to drive our engines, to drive our turbine. But government should look into that and provide subsidy. Okay, in India, what do? They provide subsidy on transportation.
Okay,
so I think the government have to look into that. Nigerians are suffering. Nobody's exempted.
Engineer, do you remember that school fees are tripled? Government-owned schools. Are you aware of that, sir?
No, I don't think that has taken effect yet.
Government is saying that.
Officially. What I'm asking you is because so you can equally add to your message to the government as things they should look at, because I think you will have a better way of saying it than I would. I don't know how I'm going to put that across. Because if feeding is on the high price, and now the people can't even now go to school. Hey, is this poverty par excellence? That's what we're trying to bring on the people.
And now, as much as we're crying, we want the children to go to schools, and then we'll be having a lot.
There will be lesser people to even apply. And what's our number as per what's the percentage of people who are educated already? Let's not impoverish ourselves going because we want to raise money. It is the government for the people. It is for the people.
By the people, for the people.
All right, so let's take okay, I think we'll just look at one last story. This will take the story from the Nation newspaper. This says Ondo gets skills Skill Acquisition Center, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, and Total Energy Upstream Nigeria has donated a skill acquisition center to Ondo State government. So I think that one is clearly stated. So the next story we have is killing. We seek reps intervention. This is still the story taking place. One of the story in the Nation newspaper. It says killing. We seek reps intervention. Let me start with you, Engineer Ola, quickly on this so we can.
Well, I think that is from the southeastern part of
Yes,
Nigeria.
yes.
The government has to look into that and send security agents to look into that.
All right, guys, thank you so much for staying tuned. This is still your newspaper review. We'll go for another quick break, and when we come back, we'll have a news analyst in the house, our sports analyst in the house, and he's going to take us in the world of sports and let you know what is happening currently in the world of sports. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.